Okay. So let's start with our opening prayers, if we can, and then I'm going to tell a little bit of a story, and then we're going to get into examining the practice of Mahakala. So the first part is doing our opening prayer. So Adrian, you haven't done it for us in a long time. How about would you do the opening prayers tonight?
Yes, sir.
So we're going to need the yoga book. So if everybody's got that handy, we'll be good. And if you've got your deity cards, will be very good too. So if those are nearby. Oh, we're in the temple.
Oh, mother-searching beings, especially those enemies who hate me, obstructors who harm me, and those who create obstacles on my path to liberation in abundance. When they experience happiness, be separated from suffering, and swiftly I will establish them in the state of unsurpassed, perfect, complete, and precious benefit. All mother-searching beings, especially those enemies who hate me, obstructors who harm me, and those who create obstacles on my path to liberation from damnations. May they experience happiness and be separated from suffering, and swiftly I'll establish them in a state of unsurpassed, perfect, complete, and precious Buddhahood. Dagla dang warje pedrano parje pegeng. Tada padang tan shekem pe bardujo parje patam chem. Kitso jen Anam kada nyam pe sen chen tam che de wa dagen dog nyar dag dran dur du lanam mem pa yang dang par zo pe shang chum rem po che to para jam. Thus, until I achieve enlightenment, I perform virtuous deeds with body, speech, and mind. Until death, I perform virtuous deeds with body, speech, and mind. From now until this time tomorrow, I perform virtuous deeds with body, speech, and mind. Deche do sam mange kim bardo long na yesum ge wala kon. Ma she baru tu dong nam ye sum ye wala kon. Du de ring ne sum te nye ma sang da sang yim. Baru tu dong nam ye sum ye wala kon. We take refuge in the kind root and lineage lamas. We take refuge in the deities of the mandalas of the idams. We take refuge in all the exalted Buddhas. We take refuge in the perfect Dharma. We take refuge in the excellent order of the Sanghas. We take refuge in all the noble Dakas, Dakinis, and Dharma guardians, possessors of the eye of wisdom. We take refuge in the kind root and lineage lamas. We take refuge in the deities of the mandalas of the idams. We take refuge in all the exalted Buddhas. We take refuge in the perfect Dharma. We take refuge in the excellent order of the Sanghas. We take refuge in all the noble Dakas, Dakinis, and Dharma guardians, possessors of the eye of wisdom. Drechen sawa dang yu parche pem, pelden lama dam panam la kyapsu she om. Yedam kil kora gila som nam la kyapsu chi om. Sang ye chon dem denam la kyapsu chi om. Dam pe cho nam la kyapsu chi om. Bak pe gen dun nam la kyapsu chi om. Bao Kandro Cho Kyong Song Me Zong Ye She Kim Chen Dang Denpa Nam La Kap Su Chi Om. Until I attain the heart of enlightenment, I take refuge in all the Buddhas. I take refuge in the Dharma, and likewise in the assembly of the Bodhisattvas. As the previous Buddhas embraced the enlightened mind and progressed on the Bodhisattva's path, I too, for the benefit of all sentient beings, give birth to bodhicitta, and apply myself to accomplish the stages of the path. Until I attain the heart of enlightenment, I take refuge in all the Buddhas. I take refuge in the Dharma, and likewise in the assembly of Bodhisattvas. As the previous Buddhas embraced the enlightened mind and progressed on the Bodhisattva's path, I too, for the benefit of all sentient beings, give birth to bodhicitta, and apply myself to accomplish the stages of the path. Just a minute.
Are you there, Adrian? You okay?
Yeah, I'm fine. Just trying to get the melody. Jang Chom Nim Pora Cheki Ban Sangye Nam La Kyab Su Ching Chodang Jang Chob Sempa Yim Chob Laing Den Shin Kyab Su Ching Jetara No Gin Den Shin Kim Jak Chob Tok Nim Kepang Dang Jang Chob Sempem La Pa Lam De Dagrim Shin Ne Pam Tar De Shin Drola Pedom Dum Jak Chob Sem Nim Keji Shin De Shin Do Ne La Pa Lam Rim Pam Jin Dom La Para Jin. In the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha most excellent, I take refuge until enlightenment is reached. By the manner of generosity and other good deeds, may I attain Buddhahood for the sake of all sentient beings. In the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha most excellent, I take refuge until enlightenment is reached. By the manner of generosity and other good deeds, may I attain Buddhahood for the sake of all sentient beings. Sangye Chodang Soki Chognam Lam Jak Chog Bardo Dagni Kyam Su Ching Tagi Jin Sogi Pem Sonam Kim Drola Penchil Sangye Dropara Shog. May all Mother Sentient beings, especially those, may all Mother Sentient beings, boundless as the sky, have happiness and the cause of happiness. May they be liberated from suffering and the cause of suffering. May they never be separated from the happiness that is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from attachment and aversion. May all Mother Sentient beings, boundless as the sky, have happiness and the cause of happiness. May they be liberated from suffering and the cause of suffering. May they never be separated from the happiness that is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from attachment and aversion. Manam kadanyam pesam shentam shende wadang dewe yudang den parjura ching. Doganala dang do nala jiju dang drala wara jura ching. Dongana mepe dewa dang ni drala wara jura ching. Nering chandang ni dang drala we dang nyom la ne para jura ching.
Can you do the 7-limb prayer, please, and carry on till through all the opening prayers?
Okay. Seven-limb prayer. I bow down respectfully with my body, speech, and faithful mind to all Tathagatas in the 10 directions, those who have already reached the Tathagata state, those who are reaching it at present, and those Tathagatas still to come. Through the power of Samantabhadra's prayers, may all the Buddhas manifest vividly in my mind. I prostrate to them, multiplying my body as many times as there are atoms of the earth. In each atom, I visualize as many Buddhas as there are atoms, surrounded by countless bodhisattvas. Thus, all space is filled with Buddhas and bodhisattvas. I praise all Buddhas through magnificent chanting, expressing the great ocean of their excellent qualities. To all Buddhas, I make offerings of various pure flowers, flower garlands of music, anointing oils, magnificent light, and fragrant incense. I make offerings to them of fine garments, perfume, and potpourri, piled as high as Mount Meru and arranged in the most beautiful way. I visualize the highest and most extensive offerings and offer them with great faith to all Buddhas. I prostrate to the Buddhas and make offerings to them following the deeds of the great Bodhisattva Samantabhadra. Confession. I confess to all Buddhas whatever negative actions I have committed due to the power of anger, desire, and ignorance. I rejoice in the merit of all the Buddhas in the 10 directions, of the great Bodhisattvas and Pratika Buddhas, those who have attained arhatship, those who have entered the path to arhatship, and all other beings. I request all great protectors and Buddhas to turn the highest will of Dharma as light dispelling the darkness of the beings in the 10 directions and lead them gradually to the enlightened state. I supplicate those Buddhas intending to pass into parinirvana to live long for as many eons as there are atoms of the earth, in order to benefit all beings. Whatever merit I've gathered through prostrations, offerings, confessions, rejoicing, beseeching, and praying, for the sake of the enlightenment of all sentient beings, all this I dedicate. The ground sprinkled with scented water and strewn with flowers. It is adorned Meru, supreme mountain, the 4 continents, sun, and the moon. As the Buddha filled, I offer it. The all sentient beings attain the happiness of the Buddha fields. To allow us possess the kayas, I offer the outer, inner, secret offerings, my body, speech. My body, speech, and all
It should be page 10A.
Hey, Adrian, are you using the Deity Yoga book?
Yeah, no, I have the 101. I should have known this by heart. I just had a little
It's okay. It's okay.
brain freeze. I'm going to start over. The ground is sprinkled with scented water and strewn with flowers. It is adorned Meru, the supreme mountain, the 4 continents, sun, and the moon. As the Buddha field, I offer it. May all sentient beings attain happiness of the Buddha fields. To the lamas possess the 3 kayas, I offer the outer, inner, and secret offerings. With my body, wealth, and all that is visible, please grant me the supreme realization, enlightenment. Whatever merit I've gathered through prostrations, offerings, confessions, rejoicing, beseeching, and praying, for the sake of the enlightenment for all sentient beings, all this I dedicate. Om Guru Ratna Mandala Putsa Mega Samudra Saparana Samaya Om.
Can you do the supplication to Lord Jigdan Sumgun, page 10B?
Muted.
Adrian, are you there?
Oh, yes, sorry, I was muted. My bad. I'll say that again. Unequal refuge, ornament of the world. Your fame pervades the 3,000 worlds. You're the victor of Vajradhara, without a doubt. I bow at the feet of the Father, Jingten Sumgun. Continually, I think of no one but you, compassionate one. Grant your blessings. Dispel the darkness that surrounds my heart. Please bless me so that I can realize the unelaborated nature of mind. And request for teachings. Please turn the wheel of Dharma of the two vehicles and their combination, according to the disposition and likewise the mental capacities of sentient beings. Are we doing praise to Manjushri too?
No, not now. No, not yet. We're fine. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, very good. So thank you. So we're going to be talking about Manjushri. So, excuse me, not about Mahakala. So Mahakala is a Dharma protector. And he is the emanation, he is the wrathful emanation of Manjushri. So there's many different stories about all these different Dharma protectors and about all these different deities and so on. So there's several different accounts depending on what lineage you might be part of and so on. So this one is, you know, what I've learned from the Drikung Kagyu. And so the story of how Mahakala came about goes kind of like this. That there was this monk who was in the Drikung area, who was up in his cave. And he'd been up there for quite a while. And he was very deep in a samadhi. And nearby, there were some hunters who were trying to find some animals to be able to kill, to be able to have for food to take back to their homes and so on. So these hunters managed to corner a buffalo nearby in the area where this monk was in his cave. And they were able to subdue this buffalo, and they dragged him up into this cave. And they started to butcher him by cutting off his head, and the head fell to the ground next to the monk. And then they started, you know, cutting away at the animal and so on. And they're laughing and making all kinds of noise and so on. And the monk kind of comes out of his meditation, you know, enough to be able to say, oh, something is going on in here. What's going on? And then with that, as he was stirring, then the hunters realized that he was there. They hadn't even noticed that he was there in the cave. So they just lopped off his head. So the monk now, who is in a state of meditation, is looking for his head. And he's feeling around, and he feels the head, and he puts it on his torso again, and it turns out to be the buffalo's head. And then he, you know, kind of comes into his regular mind and sees what's going on, but he doesn't realize that he's got this buffalo head. But he's completely enraged at what has happened, that these hunters are doing this and so on in his cave, and so he just becomes very, very, very wrathful, but in a very negative way, and he kills the hunters. And then he goes down into a village. I mean, he's got this animalistic wrathfulness about him, and he goes down into the village, and all these people that he's meeting and everything, and he's seeing, he's recognizing all these evil things that they're doing, and he's laying waste to these evil doers, killing all these people and so on. And so the village people are going crazy. They don't understand what's happening. insofar as what his motivation is. They just see this monk with this buffalo head that's doing all these terrible things to the villagers. And so they don't know what to do. They go to the Lama, who is part of that village, and they say, "Oh, Lama, you've got to help us. There's this monk, who we know has been up in the caves and everything. He's coming down and he's doing all these terrible things. He's killing all these people and everything. We've got to be able to do something to subdue him." So the Lama, he goes to see what's happening, and he verifies what they say, and he thinks to himself, "Well, I don't know what to do myself, but I'm going to call on Manjushri." And so he goes back to his temple, and he goes into a samadhi, and he supplicates Manjushri to bring his wisdom, Manjushri's wisdom, to be able to subdue this mad monk with this buffalo head, to be able to subdue him. So after some time, the Manjushri is evoked and comes and is able to come and finds the monk, and is able to come and present himself, miraculously, to the monk. And there he's teaching the monk, about emptiness. He's teaching the monk about expectations and about anger. And he's teaching the monk about changes and how we have to abide within changes and so on. So he's bringing these high, powerful Dharma teachings of wisdom to this monk with the buffalo head. Well, finally, the monk with the buffalo head is subdued, and he's by Manjushri. And then he realizes what he has done, and he wants to make amends for it. And so he vows that he will be a protector of the Dharma, and that everything that he will do will be to support the village, to support the people, to support the lamas, and so on, and to support the Dharma itself. So that's why this monk has this ferocious buffalo head, and as a Dharma protector. So this was as I said in the beginning, was in the area of Drikung. So Mahākāla became one of the two Dharma protectors of Drikung Kagyu. So that's the story of Mahākāla. So he is the emanation of Manjushri. So Manjushri is a peaceful bodhisattva. And through his enlightened activity of purification is the way in which the peaceful deities work. But if something is beyond what they can do through their pacification, through that, then they would resort to going into their wrathful emanation, in this case Mahākāla, to be able to go to the next level, to be able to subdue whatever negative things are being presented to them. So this is the case of Mahākāla. This is the story of Mahākāla. So when we do Mahākāla, it's in union, it's together with Manjushri. So we would recite the Manjushri practice first to visualize Manjushri, and then we would move on and we would move into doing Mahākāla. So if we go to page 32 in the prayer book, so this is the long praise of Manjushri. So I think we have enough time. I think if we start on page 29, we can visualize Manjushri. And if you have the card handy, would be good to be able to have the visualization in front of you of his body, his physical representation. And we'll go through this one time in English. this the visualization part of Manjushri, and then we'll get to the long praise, and then we'll go to Mahakala. So the meditation on all-pervading emptiness. And so it begins, Om Shanyata Jana Bhajra Sobhava Atma Koham, which means Om, the body, the enlightened body, speech of mind. My identity is the indestructible nature of emptiness wisdom. So we're visualizing ourselves as Manjushri. So Om Shanyata Jana Bhajra Sambhava Atma Koham. From the all-pervading emptiness, a many-colored lotus appears. On the lotus are the moon and sun discs surmounted by an orange-colored mum syllable, the nature of my own wisdom awareness, my own awareness wisdom. The luminous syllable radiates colored light in all directions. This is the mum syllable. It is offered to all the Buddhas and purifies all obscurations in the 6 realms. The light returns and is absorbed into the syllables, and I become Manjushri, brilliantly golden in color. With one face and 2 arms, my right hand raises the wisdom sword above my shoulder, and the left hand raised to the heart level holds between the thumb and ring finger the long stem of a lotus that blossoms at my left shoulder. On the lotus is the 100,000 verse Prajnaparamita text. I am wearing a 5-pointed crown adorned with a blue black top knot, and am cloaked with silken robes and precious ornaments. Seated in the Vajra position with smiling countenance, I radiate the glorious signs of the Buddhas. At the 3 special places are the white, red, and blue colored syllables. Lights radiate from the syllables, inviting the divine wisdom being who dissolves inseparably into me with the syllables Za, Hong, Bam, Ho. Again, the 3 colored lights radiate and invite the Buddhas of the 5 families to appear in front of me. I offer flowers, incense, light, scented water, nourishing cakes, and music to them. Om Saratadagata Abi Kensatu Mam. So all the Tathagatas, please grant the Abhishakata Mam, the empowerment. By this request, I am empowered by the Buddhas who pour the vase nectar on the crown of my head, filling my whole body with nectar and purifying all the obscurations. The nectar overflows at the crown of my head, becoming Buddha Varanchana. The Buddhas of empowerment then dissolve into me. So then we make the offerings. So it's Om Manjushri Jana Sattva. So Om, the body, the enlightened body, speech, and mind of Manjushri, the wisdom, the indestructible holy wisdom of the holy being, Manjushri. I offer drinking water to purify my sacred vow to manifest wisdom. So this is the meaning of the mantra. Om Manjushri Jana Savara Bhajra Argam Sarva Puja Mega Samudra Saparana Samaye Hom. I don't think there's a good melody to this. Om Manjushri Jana Sattva Bhajra Padyam Sara Puja Mega Samudra Saparana Samaye Hom. Om Manjushri Jana Sattva Bhajra Pushpam Sara Puja Mega Samudra Saparana Samaye Hong. Om Manjushri Jana Sattva Bhajra Dupam Sara Puja Mega Samudra Saparana Samaye Hong. Om Manjushri Jana Sattva Bhajra Alokam Sara Puja Mega Samudra Saparana Sameye Ahom. Om Manjushri Jana Sattva Bhajra Gande Sara Puja Mega Samudra Saparana Sameye Hom. Om Manjushri Jana Sattva Bhajra Nuidea Sara Puja Mega Samudra Saparana Sameye Hom. Om Manjushri Jana Sattva Bhajra Shapta Sara Puja Mega Samudra Saparana Sameye Hom. And now the long praise. His wisdom is brilliant like the sun, free of the clouds of the two veils, and perceives the various types of knowledge in their true nature. For this reason, he holds the wisdom text at his heart. He has compassion for all beings who suffer from the darkness of ignorance in the prison of samsara, as a father for an only son. Like a thunderclap, he awakens those who are sleeping in ignorance and loosens the chain of karma through the 60 branches of harmonious speech. He wields the wisdom sword to cut the seedling of suffering and to dispel the darkness of confusion. In the Bodhisattva form, he is pure from beginningless time, fully accomplished in the 10 levels, and perfect in the body of all knowledge. I supplicate you, Manjushri, adorned by the 112 signs of a Buddha, to dispel the darkness of my ignorance. So now we should do the short praise. You who are the perfect youthful body, whose flame of wisdom blazes and dispels the darkness of worldly ignorance, I prostrate before you and praise you, Manjushri. Next is the mantra visualization. At the heart chakra is a sun disk on which stands the mum syllable, surrounded by the mantra circling clockwise in golden light. Light radiates from the mantra, invoking all the blessings and energies of all the Buddhas, which dissolves into the mum syllable. Again, light radiates and transforms the outer universe into the superb Pure Land and purifies all the obscurations of sentient beings, who are then transformed into Manjushri. All are reciting the mantra together. The light then returns to the seed syllable. Om Vagishva. Om Vagishvari Mam. 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 Om Wagi Swavi Mama 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 Om Wagi Swavi Mama 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 Om Wagi Swavi Mama 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 Om Wagi Swavi Mama Om Wagi Swavi Mama Om Wagi Swavi Mama Om Wagi Swavi Mama. Okay, so now we go to the Mahakala practice. Page 129. So we see the picture of Mahakala. So he has a black body. And this is the forearm Mahakala, which is generally practiced in the Drikung Kagyu. There's a 6-arm Mahakala and there's a 2-arm Mahakala. So most of the time that we see Mahakala, he's in the forearm picture, forearm image. So in one hand, he's holding the sword as Manjushri does. In his other right hand, he's holding a torma offering. In his left lower hand, he's holding a skull cup full of offering, of a blood offering. And in his right hand, and his left hand, he's holding the Katvanga. He's holding a Katvanga, which represents the 3 kayas, the 3 dharma bodies. He's wearing a tiara of the 5 wisdom deities. He's got 3 eyes, which shows his wisdom eye and so he sees the wisdom of all things. He's a wrathful deity. He's got a grimacing mouth. He's got a buffalo head. And he is in a standing position and with one leg bent and the other leg straight. Here in this, it doesn't show it really good, but it shows that beneath him are the maras on which he is standing. And he's got other necklaces and wristbands and so on like that. So which shows his enlightened form. He's got a tiger skin skirt. You can't see it real good in this picture. And he is on a sun disk. You can see the red orange sun disk on the pedestal, on the lotus pedestal. And he is surrounded by a areola of flames, of fire. So he is a wrathful deity. And the wrathfulness, of course, does not mean hatred or aggression, but it means powerful compassion, very powerful compassion through wisdom and skillful means to overcome that which may be great negativity that has to be subdued. So all the wrathful deities have that activity like that. It may be called wrathful, fierce, I think, is another name that is very powerful. So on the back side, you can see his name, Mahakala, is the Sanskrit name, and his Tibetan name is Nagpo Chempo. So Nagpo means black, and Chempo means great one, the great black one. So this Dharma protector here is a stanza that is taken from the text. So we're going to go now to the text. And so this here is so as a reminder when you want to contemplate Mahākāla, you have this as an easy reminder for yourself. So if you have a particular situation in front of you that you have to deal with immediately or in the next few days or something, and you need a great deal of wisdom, you need a great deal of strength, it's good to do this practice to evoke Manjushri and then evoke Mahākāla to bring this wisdom to be able to overcome what might be this negativity that is in front of you, and so that you have this great ability to be able to do that. Mahākāla and Manjushri working together. So now we go to the text. So it says, this is the secret supplication to Mahākāla. There are several other practices that are done in the Drikon Kagyu of Mahākāla, but here in this text, Khenpo has selected that we use this supplication, which is very, very good. So it says, ho, please consider me. So we're supplicating, please consider me. Please think of me, Mahākāla. So then first is the homage and the praise that we lay upon, that we're requesting Mahākāla. So it says, glorious Vajra guardian, great black one Mahākāla, and the glorious great Bhairava, Haruka Chakrasamvara. By nature, you are one with Dharmata, within Dharmata. In essence, you are the same within exalted wisdom. In character, you are equal in unhindered activity. So Mahākāla, we're learning about. The glorious great Bhairavi is the terrible, fearful form of the Haruka Chakrasamvara. So Chakrasamvara is the main deity of the Drikon Kagyu. And his activity is bliss and emptiness. So he is not a wrathful deity, but he is he's a powerful deity. He's in a dancing posture with his consort, with Vajrayogini. So Mahākāla, all this is all part of the family of Chakrasamvara. So it says, by nature, you're all one within Dharmata. So the Dharmata is the great unborn. In essence, you are the same within the exalted wisdom. In character, you are equal in unhindered activity. So it's the body, speech, and mind. So it says, hero. So now, hero who defeats all unfavorable circumstances. You are the foremost lord of all appearances and existence, gods and demons, fierce protector, who is the great leader of activity oppressors. So the activities being negative activities. So to be able to subdue those negative activities. Invincible sovereign of radiant splendor, you protect awareness holding yogins. You protect awareness holding yogins as if they were your own children, and assess the concentration of oath-bound practitioners. So these are us, practitioners, oath-bound practitioners, the yogis, the awareness holding yogis who have a degree of awareness, a degree of experience, a degree of realization. Are endowed with the radiance of peace, the splendor of increasing, the power of magnetizing activity, and are swift in activities of liberating savage foes and hindrances. So, but doing this in a compassionate way. It's not annihilation. It is subduing and bringing them onto the path. Your mighty skill to protect the teachings is superb. Powerful Lord Dorje Dragselchen, great war god of yogins, please think of me. So Dragselchen is another name for the great black one. So you can see how we're calling on him to help us to have the strength and the wisdom and the skillful means, particularly the skillful means, to be able to know how to interact, how to engage with the negativity, to be able to subdue it. I had a friend who is a Dharma practitioner, and he had a very serious problem with the courts, and he had to go to California. It was a child custody battle that he was going through, and they were throwing up, a lot of obstacles in his way. And so for the few weeks that were before he was to go and have to go to court and do all this, he was doing this practice. We were doing it together, actually. And every day, really doing this and visualizing. And there was a great deal of stress, a great deal of anguish that was going on in his mind and his wife's mind and so on. But he was successful in court. And so no doubt that there was a clarity there for him to be able to be calm and to be able to speak in court and to have all the things that he needed to have so that he wasn't being overpowered by what this other person was, the trip that they were laying on him. And so he was totally prepared and so on to be able to overcome that. And they prevailed in court. So now the aspiration on page 131. Abiding on the sacred ground of Vajraharuka's enlightened body, speech, and mind, I, a yogin, engage in practice to attain unsurpassed enlightenment, act so as to conquer obstacles to the path of supreme bliss and the dread of the four Mars. Excuse me. So again, on the sacred ground of Vajraharuka's enlightened body, speech, and mind. So what that is saying is that all this phenomenal nature is the Haruka. It's all the same. It's all this divine body. It's the body of the Buddha. It's all the same. This phenomenal body is just a display of the phenomenal mind, of the absolute mind. So all this is being viewed as all pure, but it's our misconceptions, our fearfulness and so on, that misconstrues it into hatefulness and to emotions and to the difficulties and so on. But to recognize this as Vajraharuka's enlightened mind, I engage in the practice to attain unsurpassed enlightenment, act so as to conquer obstacles to the path of supreme bliss and the dread of the four Mars. So the four Mars here, we've talked about this before, but just so you can remember, and maybe you make some notes here in your book, that the four Mars, the first is delusion, the Mara of delusion. The ignorance, the confusion that we tell ourselves, the lies that we live within ourselves is the Mara of delusion. Then the Mara of contamination, that whatever we have been able to do to be able to purify that delusion, to maintain that purity and not be contaminated. But the Mara of contamination is always knocking at the doors, always trying to come in and rob us of whatever purification we have achieved. So that would be the second Mara, contamination. The third would be the worldly pleasures, the Mara of worldly pleasures, of being caught up in our possessions, being caught up in our bodily pleasures, and the things that we attain and so on, all the things that the emotions attach to, the five poisons that attach to these worldly pleasures. And this is also a way of being expressed in terms of controlling others, that through our possessions, through our power of having these worldly pleasures and so on, we're able to influence and control others. So this is that Mara. And then the Mara of no control at the time of death, that we are in control of our time of death, that we are not giving up that power, not giving up the gift of death to others, that we are prepared for that. And so that is the fourth Mara, is that which wants to take away our control of death, which will undoubtedly cause us to have a rebirth, but in a lower rebirth. It may be a human rebirth, but it would be a difficult human rebirth, or it might be in the lower realms or something like that. So the Maras, if you remember, are always trying to control us, always trying to be our demons. So this is to overcome that. Act so as to conquer obstacles to the path of supreme bliss and the dread of the four Maras. So please cause me to encounter the Samadhi escort that will guide me on the true path. So the Samadhi escort, of course, is our teachings, is our embodiment of our practice of the stages of meditation, to be able to guide ourselves through our meditation and go through those stages so that we can be stable and that we can transcend these Maras and any difficulties that we have. Thus, until I attain enlightenment, help me not to walk on perverted paths with body, speech, and mind, but cause my mind to turn towards freedom and enlightenment. So this is to have the right view. This is to invoke in very strong terms, the Eightfold Path, to not walk on perverted paths with body, speech, and mind, but to cause my mind to turn towards freedom and enlightenment. It is the Eightfold Path that puts us into the mindfulness of the path itself, of our goal of enlightenment. And the right view is the freedom, is the liberation from samsara, from dualism, from our dualistic attachments and so on. So it's creating mindfulness. So the next page now. May all unfavorable circumstances in this world be vanquished. May perfect auspiciousness and goodness pervade and increase. So this is quite obvious. May gods, demons, and men be overpowered, and at all times and in every circumstance, may enlightened activities be accomplished according to my supplications. So if you remember, so this is whatever is standing in our way, whatever gods may be standing in our way, demons or men, be overpowered, and all their circumstances, may the enlightened activities. So to remind you of the four enlightened activities, the enlightened activity of pacification, the enlightenment, the activity of enrichment or increasing compassion, increasing wisdom, increasing skillful means, however you wish to express it, but increasing. And then the enlightenment. What's that?
I was going to ask, is that the same thing with the magnetizing?
Well, I'm just getting to that.
Oh, that's another one.
That's the next one.
Oh, okay.
Magnetizing. So the magnetizing is bringing in, and And it takes a great deal of power to be able to do that, but magnetizing, bringing in that negativity in order to be able to overcome it. So first, we can't overcome it with pacification. Then if we can't overcome it with enrichment or increasing by teaching it, by instructing it of its negativities and its causes and so on. If we can't do that, then to magnetize it by bringing in. So drawing it in like a tractor beam, bringing it in so that it becomes on the path in that way. And then through the power of that, then the path itself becomes part of that which overcomes the negativity. And then the fourth one is the subduing. So this would be sometimes referred to as the wrathful or the challenging. This is subduing, but in a whatever is necessary to be able to bring that in and hold that in and hold it on the path. So the others are attracting it through love and compassion, through and bringing that negativity in. But the subduing is now being more forceful and going out and seeking this and bringing this in. The other is bringing it in through intellectualization or through the power of convincing. This is more strong. This is the power of subduing, bringing in. So these are the four enlightened activities. So may the enlightened activities be accomplished according to my supplications. So we may not be literally going and bringing these beings in, maybe so, if it's really terrible, but it's more like going and seeking them out, seeking it out. And we do this to ourselves. You know, we have to recognize this ourselves. If we have some deep-seated obscurations, first we try and pacify them, we try and enrich them, we try and increase it through learning and so on. We try and magnetize it by recognizing, by developing the path, by cultivating the path, and then it comes in and gets purified by being on the path. But then if there's some deep-seated things, we're going deeper into our psyche, if you will. We're going deeper into our emotions to be able to subdue it and bring it in. So it's not just going out, it's going in. So the next line is, as you are the glory and the guardian of all beings, please perform activities to grant supreme and common cities, unobstructedly and effortlessly. So the cities are the accomplishments. The word cities means accomplishments. So to grant the supreme and common cities unobstructedly and effortlessly. So by being able to, study the mind, being able to contemplate what is in front of us, to be able to develop a plan, to be able to understand the vicissitudes of change, to be able to understand the dynamics of dualism and so on, and to be able to be a master of all this is what is being expressed here. Now the next line on the next page, it says, may I vanquish all unfavorable circumstances, the enemies and hindrances with perverted views and the like, and may perfect auspiciousness and goodness pervade and prevail. So this is pretty self-explanatory. So all this, so what we were just doing was the aspiration to be Mahākāla, to be able to do this overcoming. So, so on the back of the card is part of this aspiration. So now we turn to, in this text, we turn to Achichoki Droma, because Achichoki Droma is the other Dharma protector in the Drikung Kagyu lineage. So if you remember the story of Achichoki Droma, that she was the grandmother or great-grandmother of Lord Jigden Sumgun, who the founder of the Drikung Kagyu lineage, and that she took on the responsibility of being the Dharma protector to clear away all obstacles. So now Mahakala practice is invoking Achichoki Droma to clear away the obstacles that Mahakala may have in being able to magnetize and subdue whatever these difficulties are within ourselves or within situations that we are involved in. So now we are invoking Achichoki Droma. So it says here in the middle of page 133, Ma Shri, by the power of compassion and previous aspirations, Achichoki Droma, arise from the basic space of phenomena and look upon us from the expanse of exalted wisdom. Miraculously descend upon this activity mandala. So it's asking Achichoki Droma to engage, to come into this situation that is being described in this activity mandala that Mahakala is involved with. And of course, Mahakala is also involved with Manjushri. So it's got all these elements that are in here. And Ma Shri is the primal cause. This is the primal cause to be able to do this, to be able to subdue these difficulties. So miraculously descend. So this idea of miraculous is very, very interesting. There's a subtlety to it. And that is, and we've talked about this before, but I remind you that when we do anything, when we begin a practice, when we begin a meditation, we begin a teaching or anything like that, we go through a transformation. So we begin as something, we go through this transformation, and then the result now is a change. So this is the miraculous change that happens, that through this practice, through this invocation, through this transformation, we miraculously become the deity. We miraculously become Mahakala. We miraculously become Achichoki Droma. So it's all working through us. These are all part of us. So we are invoking, we are arising, their wisdom and their skillful means are coming up within ourselves. So miraculously descend upon this activity mandala. So this descend is just a figure of speech, but it's more like an arising and then descending into this phenomenal nature of this situation, of this problem that we're having. So now it calls out the many different aspects of Achichoki Droma. Mother Achi, daughter of Nanam, powerful lady, Dharma Tara, wisdom Tara, Samaya Tara, magnetizing goddess, flesh-eating Karma Dakini. Next page. Noble lady Tashi Saringma, Mio Lapsangma, Tekar Josangma, Tingi Xiao Sangma, and Chopin Dring Sangma. Protectors of the lineage forefathers, protectors of frightening hermitages, protectors with Samaya who pledge to protect the teachings of the Kagyu lineage. So these are all names of associated dakinis and yoginis and beings who we encounter through other practices and reading some of the biographies of some of the great masters like Milarepa. For instance, the Saringma The five Sering sisters are the Chopen Dring Sangma. So a lot of this is explained in Milarepa's story, in the 100,000 verses of Milarepa. It's explained a little bit in his life story, but it goes into much greater detail in the 100,000 verses or the 100,000 songs of Milarepa. So these five Seringma sisters were these seductresses who were trying to, contaminate Milarepa while he was in his, purification and trying to taunt him and so on. And he was able to subdue them so that they became his disciples. And then they began to work for the Dharma, so to speak. So these other beings here, I don't know them all, but it's like that. So protectors of the lineage forefathers, protectors of frightening hermitages, protectors with samaya. The samaya is the vow taker, who pledged to protect the teachings of the Kagyu lineage. So this is Achichoki Droma and these other beings and Mahakala. Anybody has questions, don't hesitate to just speak right up. Do we need a break or anything? Well, let's get through this and then we can take a break before we do the practice. So we're almost finished here. So now it says at the bottom of page 134, it says, your effulgent wisdom never fades, your compassion never withholds, your blessings are close, and your power unobstructed. So the effulgent wisdom is like we think of a river as being effulgent. It's constantly flowing and you can't stop it unless you were to build some kind of a huge dam or something like that. But this wisdom just starts flowing. And as we go through this miraculous transformation, this wisdom starts coming up. And in the beginning, it's startling because you see reality, you see truth, you see understanding and everything. And we, as ordinary beings, have built up all these walls. We built up all these delusions. We built up all these emotions. And what does that do? It allows the ego to function. But when you go through that transformation, all those walls are gone. And reality is just laid bare. Truth, as we might call it, is laid bare. All this effulgent wisdom, and you can't stop it. And if you're not, when you're not prepared for it, it's totally overwhelming because it totally takes over your life. You now become reality. And this is another reason why we have to go through these stages. Because if you have that kind of an event that happens to you and you're not prepared for it, it will totally crush you. And it will send you back lifetimes. So we have to have the foundation. We have to be prepared for it. We have to do these things in a progression and so on. So we've been very careful in being able to describe and talk to you about this so that you appreciate that, recognize that, and embrace that. It's not that anybody's trying to hold us back, intentionally, just for the sake of our own ego. It's for compassion that you're able to control it yourself, that you're able to become the embodiment of it and allow it to come out in a natural way. So this effulgent wisdom never fades. Your compassion never withholds. Your blessings are close and your power unobstructed. So these are very powerful terms here, very powerful ideas. Total transformation. It's going from being what we would say an ordinary being into becoming an extraordinary being, to the point that that extraordinariness now becomes ordinary. And that if we were to go back to that which we came from, we consider that to be extraordinary, because this ordinariness is natural, completely natural. And this is the conflicted, is the misconstrued, is the delusional being that we were. So now on page 135 at the top, it says, all of you bless us yogins and our retinue with your enlightened body. So it's taking all these beings that we're invoking, all these that we're remembering, all these that we're bringing, into the mandala, that we're recognizing in the mandala. We're recognizing that mandala and the different levels of the mandala. Bless us with your enlightened speech. Bless us with your enlightened mind. So we're visualizing the mandala. We're seeing these characterizations. We're seeing these beings, where the wisdom is, or the speech is the intellectualization of it. The way in which we're able to think of this with our brain. How we assimilate this. And then it says, bless us with your enlightened mind. So this is the mind opening up, and this is where it's non-conceptual. No matter what we conceptualize up here is beyond that. But it's body, speech, and mind. We have to approach it body, speech, and mind. We're still human beings. We still have this body. We still have this brain. We still have this heart center, and we have to work with that. It says, bless us with your enlightened qualities and bless us with your enlightened activities. So these are the qualities are, the bodhicitta, our clairvoyance, the different abilities that we have to be able to know the different things that we can do that are enumerated in other practices. And then the activities, the way in which we then express these, the way that we work with these for ourselves and for the benefit of other beings and so on, these enlightened activities. So we talked about the 4 enlightened activities, so coming back to that. Act so as to conquer adverse circumstances and the dread of the 4 Maras. So the 4 Maras we just went through, it's the same 4 Maras. So another way of expressing this is by saying the 4 Maras is by saying, to engage in the Dharma, that which keeps us from engaging in the Dharma. So the delusion keeps us that we don't need the Dharma. So that Mara is blocking us from engaging in the Dharma. So that's Mara number 1. Mara number 2, another way of explaining it would be the Mara that keeps us from making our life a practice, or making the teachings our life, making our teachings what it is that we do, that we're bringing the teachings onto the path. So this is the contamination. The other way I explained it before was through contamination, taking something that and you're something that's good, but then contaminating. So now we're taking the teachings and we're really becoming the embodiment of the teachings. And then the third one is the contaminant, or the worldly pleasures. So now it's making our life a practice. Making our life a practice. So instead of practicing the delusional things, instead of practicing the worldly things, instead of practicing the things that make our ego seem better because we got these things and so on, now we're making our life a practice, a Dharma practice. And then the fourth one is to be able to control our lives at the time of death. So whether the death is a meditation, or the death is when we're on our bed and we're giving up the body, we're giving up the outer mind, we're giving up our outer breath, and we are ejecting our consciousness into the spiritual. So each meditation is a practice for that death, each little death to a big death. So those are the 4 Mars again. And then please cause me to encounter the Samadhi escort that will guide me onto the true path. So we're repeating that again. So thus, now the next page, 136, thus until I attain enlightenment, help me not to walk on perverted paths with body, speech, and mind, but to cause my mind to turn towards freedom and enlightenment. So we talked about that. May all unfavorable circumstances in this world be vanquished. May perfect auspiciousness and goodness pervade and increase. May gods, demons, and men be overpowered at all times, and in every circumstance, may enlightened activities be accomplished according to my supplications. Then, page 137. As you are the glory and the guardian of all beings, please perform activities to grant supreme and common cities unobstructedly and effortlessly. May I vanquish all unfavorable circumstances, the enemies and hindrances with perverted views and the like, and may perfect auspiciousness and goodness pervade and prevail. So I think that's self-explanatory, but what needs to happen now is to contemplate that in meditation. In other words, read it over and over again, contemplate the meaning of it until it's exhausted, and then have the mind experience of that, the heart experience of that. So it says, Zaya, Zaya, Siddhi, Siddhi, Pala, Pala. Zaya, Zaya means victory. Victory, may victory come. Siddhi, Siddhi, accomplishments. May the accomplishments be victorious. And Pala, Pala is fruition. May all this come to fruition. Yes.
Would you mind repeating that, please?
Zaya, Zaya. Za means victory. Zaya and Ya means to manifest. Zaya, Zaya, victory. Siddhi, Siddhi is accomplishments. And Pala, Pala is fruition. So when it's repeated like that, it's like saying very, very victorious, very accomplishments, great accomplishments, a big fruition. So when they repeat the words like that, it strengthens it. It makes it strong like that.
You said that chakra samvara is represents emptiness and what?
Bliss and emptiness. Bliss and emptiness. Bliss and emptiness is chakra samvara. The characteristic of chakra samvara.
Yes, I heard.
Okay, I thought that's what you were asking. I'm sorry.
No, that was my question. Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. So the chakra samvara practice is enormous in terms of being able to really understand the phenomenal nature. Because what it does, it gives elaboration on very fundamental things, such as the 5 elements: space, water, earth, fire, and air. And they are represented by dakinis. And there's other things that are also involved. And it is a very, very powerful practice of understanding a wisdom. So whenever you have an opportunity, if there's something that you want to ask your Lama to do, would be to give teaching on chakra samvara, to give empowerment on chakra samvara. But frankly, you know, I've said before, we've been going through this book, that we should be going through these 11 or so deity yogas here and getting those empowerments, and then be ready for chakra samvara. Chakra samvara is generally done in the 3-year retreat. If we were in the old country and we were raised in the monastery, or joined the monastery as teenagers, something like that, that when we became accomplished enough, we would be able to go into the 3-year retreat. And the first part of the 3-year retreat is doing the nundro practices. These are the inner preliminaries to prepare ourselves for the second part of the 3-year retreat, which is the 5-fold path of Mahamudra. So in the 5-fold path of Mahamudra is first the path of accumulation, which is wisdom and compassion, and then the deity yoga. The deity yoga is the chakra samvara practice. And then the 4 kaya guru yoga is the next part of the 5-fold path. And then the 4th part is the Mahamudra meditation. And then the 5th is the realization, is the dedication of that Mahamudra. So it's no small thing. It's not something that you start with. To do these other things is very important. Now, I know there are some teachers who, you know, for whatever reason, you know, they don't go into the deity yoga. But I think part of that is because they're not being requested. As I said before many times, in the old country, you know, the teachers will, you know, you go in, the students go in with the teacher, and the teacher will just sit there and go into a meditation until somebody requests the teaching. So my experience is the West hasn't caught up to that yet. They got to have that pointed out to them. You know, and then the lamas will, when the time is right, they will then unfold. Okay. So any, you want to take a short break? You got to jump up or anything, or you want to finish the practice, start and finish the practice now? Do it together. Okay, so we're going to continue on. So we go back to page 129. We're going to read through this. We'll do it in English. We don't have to do it in the Tibetan. And we'll go through that. And then we're going to do the daily practice. When we finish this, then we're going to do the daily practice of Achi. So we're going to do a little bit of that. And then we're going to finish with the Manjushri. Okay? All right, so we recite together out loud. Ho, please consider me. Ho, please consider me. Ho, please consider me. Glorious Vajra Guardian, Great Black One, Mahakala, and glorious Great Bhairava, Haruka, Chakra Samvara. By nature, you are one within Dharmata. In essence, you are the same within exalted wisdom. In character, you are equal in unhindered activity. Hero who defeats all unfavorable circumstances. You are the foremost Lord of all appearance and existence. Gods and demons, fierce protector, who is the great leader of activity oppressors. Invincible sovereign of radiant splendor, you protect awareness holding yogins as if they were your own children and assess the concentration of oath-bound practitioners, and are endowed with the radiance of peace, the splendor of increasing, the power of magnetizing activity, and are swift in activities of liberating savage foes and hindrances. Your mighty skill to protect the teachings is superb. Powerful Lord Dorje Dragchelsen, great war god of yogins, please think of me. Abiding on the sacred ground of Vajraharuka's enlightened body, speech, and mind, I, a yogin, engage in practice to attain unsurpassed enlightenment. Act so as to conquer obstacles to the path of supreme bliss and the dread of the four Maras. Please cause me to encounter the Samadhi escort that will guide me on the true path. Thus, until I attain enlightenment, help me not to walk on perverted paths with body, speech, and mind, but cause my mind to turn towards freedom and enlightenment. May all unfavorable circumstances in this world be vanquished. May perfect auspiciousness and goodness pervade and increase. May gods, demons, and men be overpowered, and at all times and in every circumstance, may enlightened activities be accomplished according to my supplications. As you are the glory and the guardian of all beings, please perform activities to grant supreme and common cities, unobstructedly and effortlessly. May I vanquish all unfavorable circumstances, the enemies and hindrances with perverted views and the like, and may perfect auspiciousness and goodness pervade and prevail. Ma Shri, by the power of compassion and previous aspirations, Achi Choki Droma, arise from the basic space of phenomena and look upon us from the expanse of exalted wisdom. Miraculously descend upon this activity mandala. Mother Achi, daughter of Nanam, powerful lady, Dharma Tara, wisdom Tara, Samaya Tara, magnetizing goddess, flesh-eating Karma Dakini, noble lady Tashi Saringma, Mio Lapsangma, Tekar Jo Sangma, Tingi Xiao Sangma, and Chopin Dri Sangma, protectors of the lineage forefathers, protectors of frightening hermitages, protectors with Samaya who pledged to protect the teachings of the Kaju lineage. Your effulgent wisdom never fades. Your compassion never withholds. Your blessings are close and your power unobstructed. All of you, bless us yogins and our retinue with your enlightened body. Bless us with your enlightened speech. Bless us with your enlightened mind. Bless us with your enlightened qualities. Bless us with your enlightened activities. Act so as to conquer adverse circumstances and the dread of the four Maras. Please cause me to encounter the Samadhi escort that will guide me onto the true path. Thus, until I attain enlightenment, help me not to walk on perverted paths with body, speech, and mind, but cause my mind to turn towards freedom and enlightenment. May all unfavorable circumstances in this world be vanquished. May perfect auspiciousness and goodness pervade and increase. May gods, demons, and men be overpowered, and at all times and in every circumstance, may enlightened activities be accomplished according to my supplications. As you are the glory and the guardian of all beings, please perform activities to grant supreme and common cities unobstructedly and effortlessly. May I vanquish all unfavorable circumstances, the enemies and hindrances with perverted views and the like, and may perfect auspiciousness and goodness pervade and prevail. Zaya, Zaya, Siddhi, Siddhi, Pala, Pala. I go to page 97. You have the card of Achichoki Droma. Om, Sobhava, Sudha, Sara, Dharma, Sobhava, Sudha, Ham. Purify all dharmas into emptiness. A white syllable Shri appears out of the state of emptiness. From the Shri, infinite light streams forth and makes offerings to the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. The light then returns and dissolves back into the Shri. The Shri then transforms, and white Achichoki Droma, standing, tramples the 4 Mara demons beneath her 2 feet. She is dressed in a flowing brocade gown and adorned with various sorts of precious gems. Her right hand holds a silver mirror with which she looks into the 3 times of the past, present, and future. While with the left, she brandishes the wish-fulfilling jewel that bestows upon supplication everything needed and desired. In her heart, upon the disk of moon, is the white syllable Shri, surrounded by the syllables of the mantra. Om Mama Sokra Soha Yardu Sarvadu Raza Razadu Mama Du Hong Pe Soha. Om Mama Sokra Soha Yardu Sarvadu Raza Razadu Mama Du Hong Pe Soha. Om Mama Sokra Soha Yardu Sarvadu Raza Raza Du Mama Du Hong Pe Soha. Om Mama Sokra Soha Yardu Sarvadu Raza Raza Du Mama Du Hong Pe Soha. Om Mama Sokra Soha Yardu Sarvadu Raza Raza Du Mama Du Hong Pe Soha. Om Mama Sokra Soha Yardu Sarvadu Raza Raza Du Mama Du Hong Pe Soha. Om Mama Sokra Soha Yardu Sarvadu Raza Raza Du Mama Du Hong Pe Soha. Om Mama Sokra Soha Yardu Sarvadu Raza Raza Du Mama Du Hong Pe Soha. Beautiful Queen of Space, glorious Dharma lamp, your body, white with red, takes on an unwavering stance. Mistress over demonic forces and the wrong view of cyclic existence, giver of great bliss and joy, glorious lady of intense delight. With 1 face and 2 arms, your smile brings peace. In your right hand is the Damaru, filling the universe with its sweet sound. In the left, your skull cup holds a wish-fulfilling gem, and you grant practitioners all cities. You are robed in a gown of 5-colored silks and adorned with jewel ornaments and billowing silken ribbons. Riding on a blue water horse amidst the clouds, adorned with a blue turquoise halter, a yellow bridle of gold, great silken straps and stirrups of lapis lazuli. On a silk satin cushion and golden saddle rides the laughing, glorious goddess, Queen of Space. Through your great compassion, the display of your retinue appears, surrounded by hosts of Azuras, Yaksas, and Dakinis, endowed with the 4 enlightened activities and wielding the way of non-elaboration. Guardian who protects the doctrine completely in order to increase the prosperity of that perfect place, magnificent Trikung. Accept this Torma and guard the teachings. I entreat you to keep your pledge. Please perform all activities entrusted to you. Powerful Lady of Might, who guards the teaching, powerful Lady of Might, who guards the victor's teachings, with your vow to protect excellent practitioners like your own children, Achi Chojon and retinue, to you I pray, to you I offer, please grant my every wish. Powerful Lady of Might, who guards the victor's teachings, with your vow to protect excellent practitioners like your own children, Achi Chojon and retinue, to you I pray, to you I offer, please grant my every wish. Powerful Lady of Might, who guards the victor's teachings with your vow to protect excellent practitioners like your own children, Achi Chojon and retinue, to you I pray, to you I offer, please grant my every wish. Gawa Tenson Toson Tenwa No Moche, Pujok Puzen Tongwei Dam Shik Chen, Achi Chojon Kordang Je Pala, Solo Chodo Do Dong Kyu Jozo, Yahweh Tenson Du Ten Wang Moche, Chukjok Puzen Tongwei Dam Shik Chen, Achi Chojon Kordang Je Pala, Solo Chodo Do Dong Kyu Jozo, Yahweh Tenson Du Ten Wang Moche, Chukjok Puzen Tongwei Dam Shik Chen, Achi Chojon Chodang Choje La, Solo Chodo Do Dong Kyu Jozo. Okay. Now back to back to page 34. Om Vagishwarimam, 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 Om Vagishwarimam. The dissolution. The outer universe dissolves into light, which is absorbed into myself. I then dissolve into the mum syllable, which dissolves from the bottom to the top nada, gradually becoming emptiness. I meditate in the bliss of non-duality of subject and object. Then once again, I assume the form of Manjushri. So we do a 5-minute meditation, the dissolution. So visualize all the deities, visualize Manjushri, visualize the mum, all dissolving into shunyata, into the emptiness. Take a deep breath. Hold it. Exhale. Open your eyes. Come to the dedication. By the light of your wisdom, compassionate one, may the darkness of ignorance in my mind be dispelled. To realize all the sutras and commentaries, please grant me the power of radiant wisdom. Whenever I want to see you or want you to clarify my confusion, Lord Manjushri Goka, may I have a clear vision of you without hindrance. You, Manjushri, have performed great deeds to the furthest limit of the 10 directions for the benefit of all sentient beings. May I and others perform the same activities. Next page. Bodhicitta, the excellent and precious mind. Where it is unborn, may it arise. Where it is born, may it not decline, but ever increase higher and higher. By the blessings of the Buddha who attained the 3 kayas, by the blessing of the innate truth of Dharma, and by the blessings of the indivisible Sangha order, may the merit I share bear fruit. By the virtue as pure as white snow of the mountains, may the teachings of Ratna, Shri, flourish in the 10 directions and dispel the ignorance of all sentient beings, that they will at last achieve all the Buddha's perfection of wisdom. Om Ahom. Om Ahom. Om Ahom. May my body, speech, and mind become inseparable with the body, speech, and mind of the Buddha and all the enlightened ones. Okay.
Thank you, Lance.
You're welcome. What'd you think of that?
That was beautiful. Really helpful.
So Lance, those 3 practices go together hand in hand.
What, the Manjushri and the...
Jushri, the Mahakala, and the Achi.
Yeah, we would usually do those 3 together.
Uh-huh.
In combination, and sometimes in combination with other practices. You know, Manjushri's done, Mahakala can be done with other practices. Kempo has done them with other practices and so on.
Mm-hmm.
But we do them all together like this because they're all part of the same thing, you know, to establish the vision of Manjushri and then Mahakala as the emanation, and then because we're invoking Achi. So yes, so that makes it a complete practice. And you notice that with the wrathful deities, there's not a meditation with wrathful deities.
No.
Meditation with the peaceful deities, but not with the wrathful deities. So there's other, like I said, there are other practices of Mahakala that would be more like a sadhana, but this was more of an aspiration, supplication. This practice that we did, you know, what's here in the book here.